Hadejia, Jigawa Northeast. The Senate notes with concern reports on the removal of Dr. Nasiru Mohammed Ladan Argungu as the DG National Directorate for Employment, attributed to a press statement of 8 December 2020 issued by the Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, which indicates that the presidential directive on the removal of Dr. Argungu as the DG NDE on Friday, December 4, 2020, took effect from Monday, December 7, 2020. The Senate notes further the controversies surrounding the removal of Dr. Ladan Argungu as the Director General of the National Directorate for Employment, since the news of his removal began trending on the print and electronic media. The Senate observes that while it is within the powers of the President, as the custodian of the executive powers of the federal government, to appoint and remove such caliber of appointees, the presidential directive on the removal of Dr. Argungu as the DG NDE gave room for speculations in many quarters that some unpatriotic people are scheming to undermine and disrupt the implementation of the laudable federal government special works program. This is also capable of creating needless and avoidable leadership crisis at the NDE at this critical time that the federal government intends to leverage on that institution to address the issues of unemployment and youth empowerment in the country. The Senate observes further that it is in the overriding public interest to reconsider and rescind the said presidential directive on the removal of Dr. Ladan Argungu as the DG NDE to ensure leadership stability at the agency for smooth implementation of job creation, skill acquisition, and the federal government special works program aimed at benefiting our youths, many of whom are unemployed and remain restless in the streets nationwide. The Senate accordingly resolves to 1. Urge President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to kindly reconsider and rescind his directive on the removal of Dr. Nasiru Ladan Mohammed Argungu as the Director General of the National Directorate of Employment in the overriding national public interest. 2. Urge Mr. President to direct an investigation into the causes of the frosty relationship between Dr. Nasiru Ladan Argungu and his supervisory minister, the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, and the impact of such frosty relationship on the implementation of the federal government special works program. And 3. Urge Mr. President to further direct that the Honorable Minister of State, Labor and Employment suspend or put on hold the appointment of an acting DG at the NDE pending the aforesaid investigation. I so move, Mr. President.
We call it to see that, yes, the prayers are being implemented. Because, of course, as read in the motion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, all of this, what we have the problem in this country, continuity. For example, now we have this very, very important program, as stated, this 774. And now somebody who, of course, maybe for the last 3 or 4 years, he was not in the organization, now being brought to come and say, okay, let him continue the program. So look at the communication gap. And that's, for example, now, maybe before he sat down, settle and then know about this program, it will be another 2-3 months. So there's no need, Mr. President, for the federal government to start just maybe following what some, individuals, they are selfish individuals, at least just to satisfy their interest. Because this definitely will bring a problem. The person now brought to act, of course, maybe I learned he was stabbed before, maybe in one of the states. And he has been cut away from the headquarters for almost 4 or 5 years. So how could that person now come and sit down and even know what is there and then continue implement? So, Mr. President, definitely we have to do something on this motion so that at least maybe if the reversal has taken place and then later the executive bring all the 2 parties, both the NDE director and also the supervising minister, and sit down and look at what is the possible solution. So not just maybe take unilateral action and say, okay, the MD should be suspended, and then somebody who don't know even the program come abroad and then continue. So, Mr. President, I really second this motion, and also I pray that, yes, my distinguished colleagues will support it, and then we make sure that it's being implemented. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
To speak because of the the moment and situation we find ourselves. There's a kind of tense atmosphere in our nation, and our nation is going through a very difficult moment. Our economy is having some challenges, our political life is having challenges, and the Senate, National Assembly, remains the pivot upon which the wheel of peace of this nation can rotate. Because in this place, we represent the various communities, various states, and our constituencies. Of recent, there has been an invitation by the House of Reps asking Mr. President to come. And that invitation is still hanging. Now, the firing of the NDE is another issue in the front burners. But where elders are, ghosts do not commit any suicide. So we have to think of an approach of adopting peace and not necessarily going on the full right or left of what is right or what is wrong. But I see this as a little challenging moment that we must apply wisdom in handling the situation. Anything outside that will result to an ego. And when ego comes in, then the war and fight is inevitable. I want to rather request our colleagues and make an appeal that in the face of what is happening, may we adopt the non-formal method of resolving these issues for the sake of this nation, and to see that we face our economic challenges and the political challenges rather than to create a rift between any one arm of government and the other. So I appeal that we should, rather than going the formal way, let us set up a small committee again as usual and toe the path of peace and make pleas where possible. So that at the end of it, there will be no victor, no vanquished. Both in what is happening at the Senate and what is happening at the Federal House. Provocation can occur anytime. And when provocation comes, utterances that will come out of faith might be unguided. So wisdom calls that elders at this point should sit down and see how we can resolve amicably the issues, not for the sake of anybody. And it's not a demonstration of fear or weakness, but rather to save the life of this nation and for our children yet unborn. I so submit.
Well, thank you very much, distinguished colleagues, for the motion. My understanding of this motion is essentially to make the point that the Senate and indeed the National Assembly is in full support of this social, the public works program. The recruitment of 1,000 people or our youth in each local government, and that gives 774,000 slots across the country. We are in total support and will continue to do so. We relate with people all the time, and we know the need and the imperative of such a program. This administration is doing well with so many social intervention programs, and therefore we continue to support such programs. I think the problem is the dislocation, if I may use the word, that the sacking of the DG would cause. The NDE successfully implemented a pilot program in 6 states, very successfully, under the leadership of the DG. And if there are rifts between the DG and his ministers, I think we should look at the benefits of getting this program implemented and resolve the issues that may be characterizing the relationship. Here, I believe that the prayer, or one of the prayers, of ensuring that they work together is very, very fundamental. And like Senator Rochas mentioned, the Senate is always trying to provide calm and understanding. We are very mindful of the importance of having a very stable environment for the implementation of the various government programs. So we are in total support of the program. We want the leadership of NDE to continue with this program. We commit ourselves into ensuring that the program succeeds. What I think the fear expressed in the motion is that this program could be derailed, could be delayed, and therefore maybe we need to have a reconciliation between the ministry and the leadership of the NDE. Personally, I know how committed the DG is to this, but it looks like there is a problem. And no problem should override the national interest. No problem. I believe that this is the essence of this motion. So I will go into the prayers. Prayer 1, urge Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, to reconsider and rescind his directive on the removal of Dr. Nasiru Ladan Mohammed Argungu as the Director General of the National Directorate of Employment in the overriding national public interest. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge Mr. President to direct an investigation into the causes of the frosty relationship between Dr. Nasiru Ladan Argungu and the supervisory minister, the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, and the impact of such frosty relationship on the implementation of the federal government special works program. I think, is that the way you want it?
Yes, Mr. President, is to go, cause an investigation so that we can unravel the root of the problem, and maybe if we find a solution, that will create an insight into why this program has already been delayed for almost 4 months, Mr. President. All we want is to ensure that we have a situation where it starts. So people are aware that it was